And excellent. It already started. Hello and welcome everyone to this session. Thank you for joining us today for the MuleSoft online meetup. It's always a pleasure to host these events. I'm really keen in hearing your opinion from the community. At the end of the session, there will be a survey sent. You can let us know your thoughts. What is something else that you would like to hear about? What are some news, something that you're struggling with? And that will allow us to organize the follow-up sessions. So after saying that, just so everyone is aware, I'm Angel. I'm working as a MuleSoft community leader, and I'm based in London. Today, we managed to get an amazing speaker. His name is Alex. You can see him right now in the screen. Alex, some of you may already know him because he has been in the environment for a while and have taken classes with him. He's a very active member of the communities as well. You will hear that soon enough. And a little bit detail about today's session, it's because there has been different comments asked that we get from customers, and Alex has invested the time to put a session together and to share that today in this meetup. This session will be, as you are aware, recorded, and you will be able to see it later on in any time that you want. Well, with that said, thank you very much, Alex, for putting together this presentation, and I will hand it over to you.
Okay, Angel, do you want to say a little bit about the up-and-coming meetups?
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you for that. There are two main events. There's the first one that will be RTF Foundations, will be a top 28th October. It will be made by Chris Dupreez. It's basically a learning story of RTF, how you can learn some tips on RTF and the journey that Chris made in the last 2-3 months with the last versions of RTF. And if you can pass for the next one, Alex, please. Thank you very much. And some of you may have already heard of it. It's the MuleSoft Hackathon 2020. It is coming. I know it has been delayed for 1 week. Don't worry. At around 22nd October, you can check the website. We will share the link during this session and the slides after this session. But you will be able to check it on the October 22nd, and it will be an incredible event. It's the first time that we do a virtual MuleSoft Hackathon. Yeah, and that's about it, Alex. I think I can hand over to you. Thank you for that.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much, Angel. Yes, some really exciting things happening on the horizon. I'm definitely going to get involved in some of those for sure. All right, so let's get started with today's meetup. My name is Alex Theedom, and I'm going to be presenting to you today the Mule integration for Java developers. Okay, so I am a principal technical instructor at MuleSoft, and I have over 10 years of professional Java experience. Some of you here who are Java professionals may recognize me from that community. I'm also a Java champion as well. I've been actively involved in the Java community for quite some time. I've published a few books. I've spoken at a whole load of different conferences. There are videos on YouTube of me presenting all kinds of topics. So if you want to dive a little deeper into the kind of things I've done, please don't be afraid to Google me. Okay. And also I'm relatively active on Twitter. So here at the bottom left of the screen, you can see my Twitter handle. And we have this brand new hashtag for us to use. So if you would like to tweet about this meetup during the meetup, please use this hashtag Java2Mule. And of course, it also works equally well on LinkedIn. And of course, do please follow me on LinkedIn if you haven't already. Okay, so that's enough about me. Let's have a look at who we have in our sessions today. So you've already met Angel, and there are a number of other members who are joining us today. They're going to be in the background. Malik is here, so too is Royston, but also Andres. Andres is my colleague here in EMEA. He's also an instructor, and will be sitting in the chat room answering your questions. So yes, please do Bother him with lots and lots of questions. We want to impart to you as much information as we can today. So don't be shy. Do ask him any question that you like. Now, of course, we're going to have a question and answer session at the end of today, when we're going to be answering a lot of the questions that you've already answered, so that everybody can share in those, but also any new questions that might occur to you as we go through this presentation. All right, so without further ado, let me talk to you about what we're going to be covering. So we're going to be talking, first of all, I'm going to tell you, what are you going to take away from this meetup today? I'm going to give you a few things you're going to be taking away. And then I'm going to introduce MuleSoft to those of you who are not familiar with MuleSoft. I want to make sure that we're all level set on that topic and talk about the challenges that we're all facing. I'm going to talk about my journey to MuleSoft, how I arrived at this moment in my life, from once being a Java professional to now being a MuleSoft professional. I'm going to talk about how Mule and Java make a perfect couple. Okay, they work marvelously together. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how that relationship manifests itself. And then going to move on to what transferable skills do you have? Many of you here will be Java developers. Some of you may not know Mule very well. Some may be very well conversed. But let's talk about what you can bring from your Java experience into Mule. Now I'll talk about the MuleSoft career opportunities that are available for you, as well as finally finishing with how can you learn Mule. That's what we're going to be talking about in the final session. And then, of course, questions and answers, of course. All right, so the main takeaways from today's session are as follows. By the end of today, you will know what I mean when I say digital transformation. Okay, we're going to talk about the challenges that are facing businesses today and why we should care about those challenges. What does that mean for us as developers? I'm going to talk about the career opportunities that are available for Java developers and Java professionals, and understand how you can leverage your current skills in the world of digital transformation, and specifically in relation to MuleSoft. And then, of course, what you've all been waiting for is the free training and certification. I'm going to let you know how you can get your hands on that. Everybody who is in attendance today will be able to find out what it is, but you won't find out until the end, of course, naturally. So these are the main takeaways from today's sessions, but there are many more snippets and nuggets available throughout the session. So let's set some context to where we are right now. So we're right in the midst of unprecedented times. None of us have ever lived through a pandemic like the one we're experiencing at the moment. And it's not just us who are suffering and feeling it, is businesses too. They are suffering individually and they are suffering collectively. They are operating in a new environment, an environment that has reshaped the way in which they deliver to their customers. And of course, the knock-on to that is the way their employees deliver those services, including their IT professionals. And research recently done by Salesforce has revealed that the majority of employees believe that their work has permanently changed. 69% believe that their work has now permanently changed. This is the new normal, as we keep hearing people tell us. And as a result, of course, the way in which we have changed the way we work, we now know we need new digital skills, right? This is not just, of course, everybody, but of course, specifically those working in IT. And of course, we're talking about ourselves here, right? Java developers, software developers as a whole need to ensure that they remain employable, keep their skills up to date, acquire new skills, keep themselves marketable as we go through these unprecedented times. So that's a little bit about the current background. Let's talk about how MuleSoft can come in here and actually provide us with some remedy to this. So let me introduce MuleSoft first of all. We're going to level set on MuleSoft. Well, MuleSoft is a company. It is an innovative integration leader. It provides integration solutions, and integration solutions specifically targeted to provide businesses with the ability to digitally transform. It provides a platform that supports the entire life cycle of that transformation. It provides all the way from the design through development, all the way through to management and beyond. And it backs up everything that it does through methodologies, through playbooks and approaches that target customer success. And in fact, MuleSoft has been very successful, such that it's now a Magic Quadrant leader for enterprise iPaaS and full lifecycle API management. But what's important here really is that we both realize that for MuleSoft and for developers, we're actually on the same mission. We're on the same mission to help organizations change and innovate faster by making it easier for them to connect their applications, data, and devices in order to satisfy changing requirements by customers, partners, and the environment in which we now have to operate. And of course, this changing world is not something that is new to this year, to this pandemic, of course. This has emphasized it quite substantially, but it's something that's been going on for quite some time. And we have a common challenge. It's a challenge that unites all of us, and that is that there is far too much complexity, far too much data in different places. And here we're depicting data in the cloud, data on premise, data in siloed systems, legacy systems containing data, hundreds of sources of data that a business has to manage. And this is a challenge, of course, that has been going on for some time, but actually amplified over the last few years. And the way in which we've dealt with this is by just bringing it all together. This image shows a complex environment where we've connected our systems together, often with point-to-point, sometimes with messaging sitting in between. But whatever we've attempted to do in the past, this is kind of where we are right now. You know, we've been attempting to resolve these issues, and initially they worked by connecting everything together. And we've used technologies like SOAP, for example, to achieve this. We've used API-based microservices and Java-based frameworks. We've spent a good part of the last 20 years looking at ways of being able to bring data together, to integrate that so that we can manage that data in a much more effective way. And of course, looking at a timeline going back 2000, SOAP services were released to provide a way of bringing together systems and customer data. And as time passed, our solutions evolved through Spring integration, something that many of you may be familiar with if you come from a Java background. This allowed us to implement enterprise integration patterns. And likewise, 5 years later, Apache Camel, another Java-based integration framework, allowed, again, enterprise integration patterns to emerge. And integration, of course, approaches have evolved substantially over time to meet demands. As you can see here, we were able initially to solve our issues with SOAP, but as time passes, we found new ways, better ways to meet the demand. And MuleSoft API-led connectivity approach is the next evolution in integration. It provides an approach to integration that allows us to create an environment, a landscape that's recomposable. This recomposable landscape made of APIs that are designed in such a way to bend to changes in business requirements, to satisfy new challenges, and to allow for reuse. Reuse then leads to the ability for an organization to rapidly scale. This is the solution we've been looking for. And this is a way in which an organization is able to affront the new challenges that we're actually facing right now. And API-led connectivity is a concept that is actually quite familiar in many ways. Those of you who have worked with microservices and SOAP services will see a lot of that echoed here. We have a three-tiered structure that abstracts from a backend. We have these backend systems. Here we have Toll, UPS, SAP, Salesforce, and a payment system. We have system APIs that abstract over that backend system. These are REST APIs. So represent their data in a way that is easily consumable. That data is then consumed by process APIs, which bring together that data in a way that allows it to be provided with business context. It now means something. It now has business context. And these are highly discoverable and highly reusable. This is a really important aspect of this whole approach, is that we build on what we've built before. We don't reinvent the wheel every time. And this is an important feature of API-led connectivity. And it allows those APIs in the process layer to be recomposed and for their data to be presented externally, perhaps to a website, a mobile app, another internal application, perhaps. But the point here is that it is a recomposable landscape of APIs whose connections can be easily recomposed to produce new solutions. And of course, we need this because the thing that is always true and is always constant is that change will happen. What we do today, what we create today, we will need to change and make it bend and fit with what we do in the future. Nothing remains constant. It will always change. And behind all of this, or sorry, managing all of this, actually, I should say, is a single unified platform that supports the entire life cycle of those APIs, from the design through development, through to management and beyond. And it's a single unified platform through which all APIs created as part of the API-led connectivity approach are managed, regardless of whether they are located on-premise, in the cloud, whether they're in MuleSoft's iPaaS solution or out in a customer's own AWS or Azure, with a single platform through its visibility and control of all APIs is achievable. And of course, the outcome from this is to drive a much quicker time to market. Okay, we want to get out into the market as soon as possible. We need to accelerate digital transformation. Digital transformation in itself is not enough. It needs to be fast. It needs to be out in the market as soon as possible. So we need to make sure that with this API-led connectivity approach, we can deliver on time. Okay, and we can deliver in a timely way. We can deliver within budget. I don't know how many of you have worked on projects where it's just taken a ridiculous time to get things sorted, to get to a point where the project is actually ready. And how many times have you got to that point and the project is already out of date? Well, I've worked in systems like that, and it's frustrating, but not with MuleSoft's API-led connectivity. It delivers on time within budget, and it drives reuse. It's about reusing functionality you've created before. You don't need to recreate the same connections over and over again. You've done it once, you don't need to do it again. Let's move on. Let's reuse what we've done. Let's innovate over something new. This is far more exciting for developers. You don't have to do the same thing continuously. You can always do something new. And of course, it's designed for change. So the system bends and molds and flexes with changes in business requirements. This, of course, from the development perspective, is really exciting. It allows you to continuously evolve what you're working on in a way that is actually achievable and is actually achievable. It provides, of course, out-of-the-box governance and scalability to ensure that your system is secure and your non-functional requirements are easily met. And of course, ultimately, what is really important, it aligns directly with your business. It allows you to align with your business. The result here is that we achieve project delivery faster. 2.5 is a typical metrics that we see here. And of course, from a development perspective, this is really important. It means we can do more sooner, and we can accelerate faster and achieve more. Okay, so I've introduced a little bit about MuleSoft, what are the current issues that we've experienced, and how MuleSoft can solve those. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to change tact a little bit, and then talk a little bit about my journey from Java to Mule, to kind of show you how I made that transition and what motivated me to actually make that transition. Well, I started working in Java many years ago. And of course, working as a Java developer, you get to see the best of companies and the worst of companies. Of course, you get to work with new enterprises developing microservices. You get to work with large organizations developing back-end systems. And one thing that was always very frustrating for me was the time it actually took to do anything. You know, I'm impatient like many developers are, and I want to get things done quickly. And when I discovered that MuleSoft had a rapid development environment, an environment that actually allowed me to get things done quickly, it allowed me to do more in less time and get the project out of the door, okay, and move on to the next one, because there is always an exciting project on the horizon, okay. You know, they still always say the grass is greener. Well, the project is always greener, right? There is no more lingering projects that drag on for years and years and are out of date by the time you've completed them. MuleSoft actually avoids that and allows developers to really rapidly change and accelerate through projects. I found as well that it was more than just a Java framework. Okay, it's more than just a simple Java framework. It comes with a philosophy. Okay, it comes with an actual approach that is proven to work. Okay, you're not just given a runtime and say, go figure it out for yourself. It comes with all of the enablement that is necessary to be successful. Success is the biggest driving force behind the desire to use MuleSoft. And I discovered that I could leverage all of my current skills. Okay, I could leverage all of my current skills, my software development skills, my Java skills, and therefore I was able to ramp up quickly. Okay, there was no more starting from scratch and learning brand new concepts. I could recognize all of what I saw as concepts and ideas and principles that I'd used as a Java developer. It was easy to get up and running, and because I could use what I already knew, I could get trained quickly. I could start working quickly. And it was actually, to be honest with you, relatively easy to learn because it was all very familiar to me. And of course, the demand for MuleSoft professionals 2 years ago when I started this journey, it was pretty high. There was a lot of demand out there. So you can imagine what that might be like right now with the need for businesses to rapidly evolve and to transform digitally. It's even more so. And of course, it's part of the reason why we're all here today. We recognize that ourselves. That's why you're here, to find out how you can all leverage what you know to become successful in the digital transformation field. And also as well, because it was relatively quickly to onboard, to learn Mule, progression is quite quick. Progression meant that I could have greater influence over the outcomes of projects. Because of my current software development and architectural background, it became much easier to be able to get to a position where you had influence over the outcome of a project. And that was something that I think we all like to have. We have ideas about the way things should be. Well, we need to have the power and the influence to make that happen. And I found that that was something I could achieve sooner. So all of these benefits, all of these motivations, I was able to obtain. And important here is I was able to obtain them while still remaining a Java professional. I am a Java professional at heart, and I will always be a Java professional. Becoming a MuleSoft professional does not mean you stop being a Java professional. It means that you become a Java professional with a MuleSoft kicker. Let's put it that way. Okay, you have this invaluable skill that you can use to leverage your position. So if that wasn't enough, let's talk about a few more reasons, some good cases for choosing Mule. Well, accelerating market adoption, I've already mentioned that briefly. Okay, it's being adopted by companies at an increasing rate. Of course, as companies adopt Mule integration technology, there's going to be an increased demand for Mule professionals. So that's where the high demand comes from. Also, good news is that those who have Java experience, those who are MuleSoft developers with Java experience or extensive Java experience, is actually quite a small intersection between Mule professionals and Java professionals. So you actually, with those skills, both Mule and Java, you're really putting yourself in this rather special niche of experts who can develop Mule applications, architect Mule applications, troubleshoot Mule applications in a way that somebody who doesn't have 5 or 10 years experience of Java is unable to do. So you really actually leverage what you currently have. Okay, and this is not something that everybody really recognizes. This is something new that we want to let you know, that this is a real niche, a real place where you can leverage what you currently have. And of course, more importantly than all the things, is salaries are comparable. So if you're currently a Java developer or Java professional architect, salaries are comparable. And doing a quick search, depending, of course, in your jurisdiction, you can see that sometimes they are actually a little bit higher because, of course, demand has driven that way. And getting ramped up, like I mentioned before, for someone who is already an experienced software developer, a Java developer, or even just a software developer anyway, because there are many synergies. It's quick, easy, and of course, as you'll find out by the end of today's meetup, it's completely free to get trained and qualified and certified as a Mule professional. That's what one of your big takeaways are from today, but you have to wait until the end to find out. Okay, so there are some fantastic cases here for learning Mule, to adding Mule to your resume, to your CV. Okay, you do not stop being a Java professional just because you learn Mule. Okay, you become a Mule Java professional. And of course, some of the largest employers of MuleSoft professionals are some of the biggest companies in the world. You can see here just a small subset of all of the current employers of Mule professionals. And you can see that they fit into multiple different domains. You have financial services, manufacturing, retail, healthcare, public sector, high tech, and much more besides. Now, all of these organizations are large organizations, and whatever your current domain knowledge is, you will find an employer in that field that has chosen to use MuleSoft. So not only do you have Java experience and software development experience and any architecture experience perhaps that goes with it, you have domain knowledge too. That gives you a real advantage in this field. So let's dive a little deeper and see just where Mule and Java come together. They are a perfect partner. So first of all, I would like to celebrate that MuleSoft loves open source. Well, in fact, Mule started as an open source project. Its infancy was as open source, and it still maintains an open source community edition. Okay. The MuleSoft repo itself in GitHub, which is publicly accessible to everybody, has 224 repos as of this afternoon. Many of those include projects for connectors, projects for modules, projects for the community edition in itself. So there is a vibrant community of developers contributing to the MuleSoft ecosystem. RAML is a prime example of this. RAML is RESTful API modeling languages like Swagger or OAS. It's used to describe API specification. This is open sourced as well and contains 25 repos. This is just two of the many examples of open source that MuleSoft loves. And of course, as a developer, there is a Stack Overflow community. Now, as a Java developer, I have to confess that Stack Overflow was my go-to. If I had a problem, Stack Overflow would come to my rescue and save me. I'm sure many of you may also have a similar experience as well. Good news, with Mule, there is a great community on Stack Overflow, often manned by the actual people from MuleSoft that created the runtime itself, offering answers to questions and problems. So you have a community behind you, supporting you in your endeavor to learn and advance your profession in Mule. And of course, as you probably have guessed already, the Mule runtime itself is a Java-based runtime and ecosystem, and therefore contains some very familiar tools. The Java-based runtime is based on Java and has its history in the Spring framework, and there are still echoes of Spring remaining today. It also uses Java EE libraries. There's some Hazelcast, Kotlin, even a little bit of Scala in there as well. And it's built with familiar libraries. Apache Log4j is used to provide the logging framework. Hamcrest provides the matching for unit testing. Grizzly provides the framework for HTTP connectivity. Fast XML allows you to do transformations. And OAS is there too and fully supportive. And of course, the Java ecosystem, of course, it interacts with the Java ecosystem. All Mule projects are Maven projects. So of course, that allows you to integrate with a CI/CD pipeline using the technologies that you're already familiar with. Jenkins is a good example here. For debugging, Visual VM and other such products can be used. JMeter for load testing, and of course the IDE, the development environment that we provide called Anypoint Studio is built upon Eclipse. So again, a very familiar environment to many of you there. And because it's a Java project, it can be Dockerized and orchestrated using Kubernetes. So much of what you already know and are familiar with, you can take with you and use that to leverage your transition to Mule. And of course, these are all transferable skills. This is the great news that I have for you, is that your knowledge of software development practices, dry, KISS, Yagni, agile, unit testing, debugging, troubleshooting, all of what you have been doing for the last few years throughout your software development career, you can bring those directly and apply them immediately to any development and design, architectural design of a Mule application project. It runs on the JVM. So if you've optimized JVM before, if you know how to debug garbage collection related issues, again, excellent transferable skills you can bring to MuleSoft knowledge. Again, tooling used is typical tooling used by Java developers to debug the issues with your application or runtime. Again, we talked about the Java ecosystem using well-known libraries and tools that are typical in the Java ecosystem: Maven, Kubernetes, Git, Jenkins, JMS, etc., as well as knowing about multi-threaded currency. If you are building high performance applications, well, you know how to do that in Java. You just apply the same knowledge to building high performance applications for MuleSoft. So you have already the skills necessary to become a successful MuleSoft professional. So let me take an opportunity now to actually talk about, well, what do we mean by MuleSoft professional? What career opportunities are available to you? And they fall broadly into three categories. So we have the developers, of course. They're responsible for building out the actual Mule implementations themselves. And of course, you have a Java developer, you have a Mule developer and a senior Mule developer. And senior Mule developer, we're responsible for building high performant applications. There's the architects. So you have integration architects. They'll be responsible for designing those high performant applications, and the platform architect, akin perhaps to a solution architect, and will design the entire system, putting together that solution. And of course, there are operational roles, operational specialists that focus on the different environments into which, or target environments into which Mule is deployed, whether it's on-premise, into Kubernetes or into Cloud Hub. And of course, technical support, where your knowledge and understanding of JVM and Java applications becomes absolutely essential and invaluable. So there are many paths available to you. But of course, as I mentioned before, what you'll find is that because you already have quite a significant amount of knowledge and experience from MuleSoft, from being a Java professional, you can bring that into your MuleSoft career and accelerate your position, moving quickly through to senior positions such as senior Mule developer and architectural positions, where you have much greater influence over the outcome of any project that you're involved with. How do you actually learn Mule? What resources are available to you to get up and running with Mule? Well, this is your journey, and you have already started that journey. You have started the journey today by attending this meetup. This is the first step on the journey. The next is to sign up for the free training. To obtain the free training, which I'll show you how to do that in a moment, to complete that, then to build sample APIs with our free platform account. You can sign up for a platform account and you can build APIs to your heart's content. And of course, the good news here is you do not have to give your credit card detail. It is literally free. And then when you're ready, take this certification and become a MuleSoft professional. And we provide you with everything that you need to enable success. Provide you with a self-paced developer course. This contains 24 hours plus of online videos, plus a whole load of walkthroughs to reinforce the knowledge you gain by watching those videos. There are 15 DIY exercises that really do dive deep into how to actually build out successful Mule applications. There's a 60-question exam standard mock to really allow you to make sure you're prepared to take the professional examination. And of course, we will provide you, once you have completed the course, with a free attempt to take the exam. This exam is held online by ProctorU. It's a company that provides professional certifications. The normal price for this certification is $250. If you complete the course, that certification attempt is free for you. Okay, so I can see lots of questions coming quick and fast into the chat window. That's fantastic. So let me move on and give you what you've been waiting for, which is the next step. So the next thing for you to do is to create your training account and to sign up for the free course. Now we have here on the screen a QR code. If you move your mobile up to the QR code, it will take you directly to sign up for the course. You'll need to create a training account. Once you've created the training account, you will then be able to enroll on the course. The course is called Anypoint Platform Development Fundamentals Mule 4. Once you've created that, you'll be able to enter. Once you enter, you can see there are multiple videos you can watch in different modules. The modules are broken down into videos and walkthroughs. The walkthroughs are like little exercises that allow you are able to complete. Now, this is a new initiative that we've just started here, and we make it so that once you've completed the course, you will automatically be allocated a free certificate. This is something we've just launched, and today we're making this available to you. Okay. So I'm going to send to you in the chat window a link to the course. If you're unable to use QR codes, let me just put that link into the chat window. There we go. So that links through. If you go into the chat window, you can see that we have a link there. So please go ahead, do sign up. If you have any issues signing up or any problems getting enrolled on the course, we're going to be here for a little bit longer and we can help you through that. All right. So this is where we are. We are at the end of the course, and this is your final takeaway. So does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? I'm just having a look here in my chat window to see if there are any questions. So let's have a look.
Yes, Alex. So there's a couple of them. The first one that we can talk about is Arinata is asking if there's any self-paced trainings for architects. He's already MCD and is looking for training to become an integration architect.
At the moment, we're not providing any self-paced training for architects. We're focusing on building up training for the developer roles. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Alex. There is another one that is around any potential materials they can use for the integration, for preparing for the integration architect, but I guess that will remit back to the session, to the course.
Yes, for preparing for the integration solutions course, there are two things you could do. Of course, you can go and take the actual course itself. If that's not an option for you, then what I do recommend that you do is you go and have a look at the data sheet that is associated with that certification, and it will tell you what content is contained on the exam. From that, you'll be able to obtain all the information you need through, for example, if you go to docs.mulesoft.com, if you go there, you'll be able to see a lot of information covering many of the topics that we cover in the course. So you can prepare yourself. There is no direct course or material other than what's provided in the course itself.
Thank you for that, Alex. That question was from Sudhir. Sudhir, let us know if it's clear. Otherwise, you can write us to us again. Another one around, what is your suggestion, Alex, for the non-Java IT professionals to quickly and successfully adapt to the Mule platform?
Okay, absolutely. Excellent question. Right. So I think the most important is software best practices. Okay, software best practices. You can simply go and Google it and you'll see software best practices. Become a software crafts person. Okay, so learn how to craft software. So all of those fundamental principles, such as dry, don't repeat yourself, or KISS, keep it simple. These fundamental principles of software development apply directly to developing Mule applications. So even if you're not a Java professional, and even if you're not knowledgeable about Java, that's fine. You can still ramp up quickly. But the one thing you should do is make sure you know how to develop software. If you don't have that experience, getting that knowledge will really allow you to advance through the course and, of course, become the professional you want to become as a MuleSoft professional. So software development, principles, understanding, that's really where you need to focus to really give you an acceleration.
That's a great answer. Thank you for that, Alex. I will add on thinking about the enterprise integration patterns, because everyone that is working as a Mule developer is working on a daily basis with them, whether they are already implemented through Mule or there are implementations that are custom. That could be something.
Okay, so enterprise integration patterns, for those of you who are not familiar, they are a set of 65 integration patterns. They were published way back in 2003, I believe. And if you Google it, the first option that comes back will be enterprise integration patterns. So to learn about them, there's free resources on the internet. So Google enterprise integration patterns and you'll see the page that summarizes all of those. But yes, absolutely, MuleSoft does implement those patterns in a variety of different ways. So from the point of view of the developer, there are components built into the runtime that you can configure that directly implement enterprise integration patterns such as scatter gather, for example. Message patterns, of course, are fully supported. MuleSoft fully supports all message integration, all message broker integration. So all message patterns, message broker patterns can be implemented. So yes, they are there in various different forms. Absolutely.
Wow, that was a great answer, Alex. Thank you for extending on that one and giving even the point of I think it was when the book was created by Holman. Excellent. So
yeah, 2000.
Thank you for that, Alex. The next one will be around self-paced trainings for DataWeave, if there's anything available.
At the moment, there's nothing for DataWeave. However, there is a module in the developer course, the course that I've directed you all to today, that is focused on DataWeave. So if you haven't actually taken the developer course, I do recommend you take the whole course, but if you do want to focus just on DataWeave, then focus in on that module. What you will also find as well, if you want more information on DataWeave, there's been a couple of interesting meetups recently on DataWeave that actually can provide you with more information. Also, as well, I do recommend that you go to blogs.mulesoft.com. There are some good articles there talking about reasonably advanced topics in relation to DataWeave. I wrote one recently about currying in DataWeave, because DataWeave is a functional programming language. You can learn a little bit more about how to write curried functions, for example. But there are plenty of other articles by other authors there as well.
Excellent. Thank you for
Oh,
that.
and also as well, sorry, forgive me, Angel. Alexandra's also mentioned as well, there are some tutorials on developer.mulesoft.com as well about data weave. Okay. Sorry, Angel.
No, thank you for that, Alex. And Tony, I think I also added the cookbook that is very useful. And as well, everyone should also think about the unit testing. And there is good resources for those and the use of documentation. Okay.
In terms of unit testing, I wrote a series of blog posts about MUnit, which is the MuleSoft's unit testing framework from the perspective of a Java programmer. So looking at what a Java programmer does using JUnit and Mockito, for example, and how you would actually do that in MUnit. So if you go to blogs.mulesoft.com, and you search for MUnit for Java programmers, you will see, I think it's about 5 blog posts covering that topic. So for those of you who are interested in applying the knowledge you currently have to MUnit, that's a good place to go and find those references.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Alex. There's another one coming from Mahesh around how can we project ourselves as a Java Mule developer? Because if we start working on Mule, people will assume that we don't have hands-on development in Java.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I think a lot of Mule developers do have some Java knowledge and experience, but as you become more experienced in Mule, it will become very clear that you are a Java professional, because you will instinctively understand how applications are built. You'll understand threading, for example, and how that is how it manifests itself within the Mule runtime. You'll understand exception handling and be able to read logs very clearly and understand precisely when you get this sax parse exception that it actually relates to XML parsing, because that's the package within the runtime that actually does that, right? Because you have had that experience. So I think you'll be able to distinguish yourself quite clearly, because you will be very knowledgeable, you will be very experienced, and you'll be able to achieve a lot very quickly. And that in itself will be an indication that you are in itself a Java professional. But of course, if you want to really want to prove that you are a Java professional, then there are plenty of Java exams you can take as well, Java certifications. Okay, I'm not here to promote Oracle by any means, but those Java certificates, just as the Mule certificates, are very well regarded in industry, and having a combination of the two really is like gunpowder. It will really boost you quite substantially. So do consider that option as well. Stock up on those certificates.
Yeah, those were great insights. There's one more coming from second. It's around the consulting. 1 second, I just missed the. Oh yeah, here it is. It's coming from Shub Han. It's around which path do you perceive if I'm doing both consulting and development work? Is doing both a great idea related to building market Mule connectors for enterprise?
So I'm trying to understand the question. So first of all, I think whatever role you have when it comes to Mule, taking the developer course and getting that certification really does give you an incredible value, right? Not only you personally as a professional, but also it shines out on your resume. Even if you are a consultant or an architect, or even if you're in sales, having that knowledge in itself actually really does project you substantially. In terms of building connectors, in terms of building modules, your main role for an organization will be actually building out Mule applications themselves, actually designing high performant applications, right? High performant applications that can handle tens of thousands of requests per second. So that's really where you're going to find you can leverage yourself significantly in terms of consultancy, absolutely. We have, if you're only interested in from a consultant point of view, and depending how technical you want to be, have a look at our training site, training.mulesoft.com. We have more free courses on there than just the one that I'm talking about today. We have one called Getting Started, which gives you a very light introduction to MuleSoft. So if you just want to have a very light introduction, the Getting Started course, which is again is a self-paced course, it's a great way to just get started without going through the full developer course. If you're going to be consulting at a high level on MuleSoft products. But I do recommend, again, still do take the full developer course. It will really give you a boost.
Hey, Alex, thank you for that one. There is one more comment. I think this one we have heard plenty of time. This is coming from Sax. Is Mule good for migrating large data sets, or is it better for an ETL tool?
Of course, MuleSoft is the perfect solution for migrating large data sets. Actually, I would strongly recommend that using MuleSoft to migrate and process large quantities of data as part of an overall solution is the right approach to go. If you are only interested and your only solution, the only thing you want to do is to just migrate data and you're not interested in digital transformation or API-led connectivity, then an ETL solution is probably the best option for you. But as part of an overall strategy and approach to transforming your business, then yes, MuleSoft provides an ETL solution in the form of a Mule application, which you can develop and configure and use for your transformation. And it handles very high levels of data. You're only really restricted by the amount of resources you provide it to work with, not the actual system itself.
Okay, Alex, we do have one last question that is around the custom connectors. It's coming from Beta. So the question is, when we're building custom connectors, we have the issue of who will support it. Can we put it in production environment and some others? It's not an everyday thing that you build a connector and deploy it in production environment. It was actually a comment, not a question, but
okay. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And in fact, connectors, what they do, for those who are not familiar, they are what are effectively libraries of Java code that encapsulate the connectivity logic to connect to a backend system, such as a database or SAP system or a web service or something like that. So what we've done at MuleSoft is actually we've created pretty much every single connector that you might actually want, right? So you go into our repository and you can find pretty much every single connector that connects to pretty much every single system that you might possibly have. Most organizations use off-the-shelf or slightly customized off-the-shelf backend systems, and we can connect to pretty much all of those. It is rare that you'd need to create a connector. If you did create a connector, you'd be creating it for your organization that has a bespoke backend system that has some kind of special connectivity that you need to respect in some way. So in terms of maintaining that, it would actually only be maintained by your organization because it would only be relevant for your organization to create such a connector. Okay.
Yeah, and the challenge of response, it's something that can be solved when we talk about C4E. If there is a center for enablement within the organization already established, that they can actually have some governance over the different assets, including the custom connectors.
Absolutely, yes. C4E is another one of those wonderful concepts, not concepts, more than a concept actually. It's a approach that MuleSoft provides on top of all of what we've spoken about, that actually provides, as Angel says, among many other things, the governance over the way in which an organization approaches digital transformation with MuleSoft technology.
Okay, Alex, before we continue, there's a couple more of questions, but if everyone could join the survey link that Alex has shared in the chat. I'm sharing it again. Oh, yeah, there you go, Alex, because that will give us some insights. I don't know, Alex, if you want to talk about that one, the survey that people will be filling.
Talk about what?
The
survey link. Yes, I can just show you what that looks like. Yeah, so actually, so please, all of you, I would appreciate very much if you could respond to this survey that I've put in the link. It's an anonymous survey, and we're not capturing your email addresses. We don't want to spam you. We just want to know who you are. So simple questions about your Java experience, okay? There are questions about your professional experience. There are some questions about your integration experience, and also if you know MuleSoft, and also as well, I would appreciate very much some feedback about the usefulness of this session, with an option down here at the very bottom to enter what more would you like to know from us. Okay, so if you could do that, it will be very helpful to help us form meetups for the future. So if you can do that, that will be amazing. Thank you.
Excellent. While people are filling the survey, there's two more questions. Oh, Alex, of course, you want to give some of the recap of the social networks that people can reach out to you?
Yes, so please do follow us on Twitter. We have a number of Twitter accounts, so do follow us on Twitter. There's myself, I'm there. MuleSoft also, VirtualMuleys, and Mule Dev for Mule developers. Also on LinkedIn, I'm there, so too is MuleSoft. And of course, go to YouTube and search for MuleSoft. Plenty of videos there from ourselves. So these meetups are there, and there are plenty of videos from lots of other people as well. So there is a vibrant community around MuleSoft, many people creating their own videos, a valuable resource for all. Okay, do we have some more questions?
Yes, Alex. If it's a matter of time, we should be having around 3 minutes more to close up with the questions. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to continue longer. No problem.
Excellent. There's one more coming from Sampath. That is, what percentage of Java code we need to write for customized solutions through MuleSoft?
Java 8.
Yeah, but
I think that's the answer, Java 8. Yes. So yeah, the Java Mule time is currently using the most prevalent version of Java, which is Java 8. So Java 8 is still being used extensively out there in the industry. Most companies haven't moved to the latest version of Java, so we're using Java 8. And Java 8 is the version that you should be considering writing any Java code for working with Mule.
okay, Alex. And on top of that one, if someone is working in MuleSoft, what percentage of Java code they need to actually write for customized solutions? This could fall within the custom classes and so forth.
Very good question. Okay, very good question indeed. And it will depend very much on your level within that organization, in terms of your experience within that organization. Now, a MuleSoft developer will not, as a general rule, write any Java code. This is why it's a very quick development environment. Okay, they will not write any Java code. Their knowledge of Java will be very helpful. The time when you actually write any Java code or use your knowledge is when you're at a much more senior position, much more senior level. That's where your real knowledge comes in. That is why I was saying to you earlier that you can fast track, given your current knowledge of Java, given your current understanding, you can fast track to those much more senior positions. But for a MuleSoft developer, okay, imagine the scenario, right? You know nothing about Java. Okay, imagine this scenario. You know nothing about Java. You go and you do the certification that I'm talking about here. You do the course, you do the certification, and you pass the certification. Even having no knowledge of Java, you can still be a successful MuleSoft professional. It's just that having knowledge of Java really does give you that boost. It really kicks you a long way up the ladder. Okay, it gives you that real head start, that real advantage. Okay.
Okay, excellent. There's another one coming from Mandy One. Wondering if an HTTP request coming from an external company to post a large data around 7 megabytes, will this cause timeout issues?
Timeout is configurable, so you can configure the timeout. So yeah, hang on. I was wondering if an HTTP request coming from an external company to post large data around 7 megabytes would this cause timeout issue. If you're posting it to a Mule application which you created, you can configure the timeout to fit the use case. Okay, so you will know what your use cases are. You will know that your use case is you're going to be receiving large files. So that shouldn't be the case. It should not time out. There are alternative solutions to this as well, such as chunking. So the short answer to this is no, it won't be a problem.
Adding to that one, when we think about this file size, payloads with that size, you need to consider the memory constrictions as well, especially when you talk about small peaks on Cloud Hub. Just making a footnote there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there are multiple considerations in answering that question. So that would take a little bit of time for me to answer, but the short answer is you won't have any timeout issues. Just make sure the configurations in the HTTP connector are set appropriately for that circumstances. And of course, as Angel's quite rightly mentioned, ensuring also that your application does have the resources to handle such a payload of that size. That's the considerations there.
Okay, this one more than a question is if we can provide any advice. This is Nagas, and it's asking, or better commenting, that he's a SAP integration lead professional, having about 10 years of experience into SAP PI, PO, process integration orchestration, and CPI and API management. He completed the Mule 4 Fundamentals course and cleared his MCD exam. Congratulations. Now he would like to shift his career to MuleSoft. So that was a comment. I'm guessing the question will be around how can he achieve that?
Okay, my understanding is you have already taken the training and passed the exam,
MCD.
but not currently working. Yeah, but not currently working with MuleSoft technologies. Is that my understanding? Is that the correct understanding?
Yes.
If that is the case, then if you're qualified but you're not currently working, then what you can do is combine what you already have. Your knowledge of SAP, of course, absolutely essential, because all large companies pretty much have SAP systems, right? So your knowledge of being able to integrate with MuleSoft, again, a product that a lot of large companies are currently using, that combination of knowledge is going to be invaluable for an SAP siloed team, because they're likely to be the ones who are going to be building out those system APIs, again, depending on the corporate model and how the organization is structured. So having that knowledge that you already have in SAP, combining that with MuleSoft, should put you in a position to be very attractive to any employer who is embarking on a MuleSoft project a MuleSoft project where they are currently using a lot of SAP. So I think you've actually done quite a wise thing there by combining that knowledge of those two essential software solutions.
Yeah, that is a great answer, Alex. Thank you for that one. There will be, I don't know, how are you with the time? Because we're already 5 minutes on top. If you have 5 minutes more available.
Yes, I have no plans for the rest of the afternoon, so please ask away further questions.
Sure. So there will be 3 more. One is if you can please share some insight on how much DevOps skills matter for a MuleSoft developer or an architect.
So for a developer developing an application, the way they will work is they will build the application and they will check that into a code repository. That, of course, will then kick off a fairly standard CI/CD process. So in terms of DevOps, actually not a great deal for a developer. From an architect, they will of course be responsible for designing those systems, or designing those systems, but at least ensuring that those systems are put into place. Now, whatever you already currently know about, say, a CI/CD pipeline, for example, continuous integration, then that is going to be directly applicable. Now, for a simple Mule developer, Developing applications, you need to know nothing, okay? There is no additional knowledge necessary. It's useful to have and to have an understanding of how it works, of course, to appreciate the reason why you need to have unit tests and to understand why you need to check into GitHub and what code reviews are and code coverage is. These are all part of that from that perspective. But as a developer, you don't need to have a great deal of DevOps, because if you're deploying into Cloud Hub, which is iPaaS, everything is provisioned for you. It's literally a click of a button and it is deployed. So your DevOps knowledge does not have to be significant from that point of view. If you are a DevOps specialist, of course, naturally you're going to have a lot of knowledge of DevOps. And of course, a DevOps specialist would benefit from some knowledge of how Mule operates. We do have courses. They're not free courses, but we have paid courses that do show how to bring an application ready for production, which involves a number of DevOps type behaviors and knowledge. Okay.
Okay, Alex, I think with that we have closed all the questions and we will need to wrap up. So first of all, very much for this session again. It's I think has been very insightful. There has been a lot of participation from the community, and I don't know if you want to have some other last words there.
I just want, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has attended this meetup. I appreciate very much you've given up your evening to attend, and do go and sign up for the course. It is, of course, completely free, and so too is certification. And tell all your friends and family, okay? You can send them the link as well. They're also entitled to sign up. What we want is to get as many people out there as Mule developers. So please feel free to spread the good word. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.